Radio Manin, Radio Manin. Badi yn sylwion y Ballaugh
Gilg Jew, Gilg J as Gilg Nerach.
Lig dyn is taich de Gael Claare na Gael. Sana Cajun Smileyam Chooish Altacha. My name is Robert Cutting Carswell, Robert a Carslach.
Have you ever had tell about Bobby Bob?
And it's my pleasure to welcome you to Claare na Gael, a bilingual programme in which you'll hear pieces in the English language, ach nis you clash and mir and yes Ilg, but you'll also be hearing pieces in the Manx Gaelic, Chiune na Mera, the mother tongue of Ellan Vanning, the Isle of Man. As Banachta and Jewish, with this being the week of the Cooish Manx Language Festival, as you heard Philly talking about there in Gullersgagan, that'll be taking place at venues throughout the island, and we'll be hearing songs in the Manx language throughout the programme. But rather than looking throughout the island, we'll focus on Ballaugh and the background to nicknames as collected there in 1933. We won't have time to get onto the nicknames themselves, though. We'll just hear the prefaces. The foreword and the preface, in fact. Ten alle van Helsing jet reach by Amsterdam, as they forcen Tannachten on, de Gael as de Strai and Count Dracula. De weesten of a fee vijent Mina Harker, Gino Cobb, J de Chooish, to zo dreile drer en date, leschen nacht ne Cooish son ben. Ach, genelli corre berinchi force. The first of our songs in Manx was specially written for Mona's Isle, the legacy of Mona Douglas, and is called Kiaulleeaght, gentle music making. Tas yw geisdiach rish Radio Vanning, stasiwn the nasiwn, besgoller SKEEAL by Dúlish, Ellan Vanning. Original words sung to the tune from the collection of Mona in a Rulish and called Kiaulleeaght. Well, this is the foreword to Ballaugh Nick Names, originally published in 1933 by John Keig, or J B Keig at least, but this foreword is from a copy published in 1940, and the foreword is by Chalse and Robin, Charlie C.C. Craine, and Markys of Braide, Mark M.H. Braide, and they have this to say of Mr Keig's work. The following list of nicknames constitutes a record unique in Manx literature, and a great debt of gratitude is due to the late Mr Keig for the exhaustive manner in which he's recorded the names in use in his native parish of Ballaugh. Though he states in his introduction that it is far from complete, investigations among his surviving contemporaries show the list to be a very comprehensive record of those in use from about 1860 onwards. The derivation and use of the majority of the names recorded is most interesting and certainly of considerable antiquity. Here, in fact, we have the very method by which most of our surnames originated, surviving amongst us until the 20th century. As nishta gilen an early John Siwr Ginston. As masog an ear oer shaw, ta ullien a cortus nine jint the sledden as ons o dreles. Gauw en alle wersoelen gop de inu studeres jay lug genair as rosje chaglamine was recht son nay a chlag. Tan goed eljen liai de chuljurid hanna, maar so trenje met shitrach elias a chamber studeres, be fissain ulju nichen, as fodmuj reiche a planine son kage rish en noij atjemach foliachtach shaw. Jorla Mina Harker and Kiaulleeaght as feed main fower. Tra henkshin racheli on Seamus Duderis and early John Siwr deur lug genair, as we shenner jitig share a chlag. Gin to trenchen genusus source de voerd na de ving. Gauw en allu van Helsing inne de kiune voerd. Hugge ren en fairly Siwr, kaurige de gouds henkis jachse chamber. Hugge arm sai shies liorish a chow yesjay, as vrije Jim de vee muskrew there. But Jonathan the high liorums. Now Brian Mac STOYLL sings the Manx version of The Knight and the Shepherd's Daughter, Inneen J Bochilley.
Inneen J Bochilley, fair a clue shit hall. She donieg va Gael a red, hug tas the mighty trevi shul. As rau a grimji a main, as liege a talui, as rau colina agneji, as hragai the chiaghtin. Hug a rechas ons a strep, as varke hin na tavi, as huggy a hevach mosh a main, as Kiaulleeaght a kiaull. Vagino a talu kiart, vagino the brow, gus henkert hog an osh a dowden, as huggy she's the now. Esh hugge a chavel glas, as varke hin bochilley, and hierder valje henkert hugge, Kiaulleeaght fenje. Varket was sheden the scourtery, as shen va makiach mila, as varke hin chow kiaghtin, as jai a chow mooi. Esh gauw is klach veg ons a lau, as krankie a dares, as quoir en foslen dares G, ach rimor hin a cheere. Ven ellen cren fet a dabberen ho cry, ta donieg chow kiaghtin, as te spulje mi ti. Ne spullet tau jeder good glass, na jeder tabui, te spulje mi jem of vogenus, and rud van jeda dem a chri. Mushish and Gael Yahushua a fuza, ach Mushelesh benel yate, Yahushua kroget eg a chwil. As gawad mach and donye eg, as shesh and Gael as renny rai the fuza as shen and red vacrina.
Brian Mac STOYLL and Inneen bochilley. Dierach gin van Charn go Dalming, and fairly seward as Mansje Morris. As an Charn go Dalming, Lorish an Allu, as an fairly seward Sylvain. Dort an Allu, Fodden tam I Shielten me Shigger, de welch an Ulju oorlach rish na nichen tons na Paber and Shaw. Wrench an Ulju Cordale, as high air. Esh tam I smunnion de bech Maya de gin a minstew riddenach jin source de noid te orin corish. Nim corfistew esh mechon riddenach je shanach is a dunje shaw ven heden machem. Masaw, Fudmud esh Lord mechon and acht nimmud shaw as Gael on slaun a 69 rare shen. Tan lid ein as suder and falle. Da fenish a custien de veladon. Hier man a rauwe vrouwles ein Jane Kiaulleeaght trimshach ein, ta insach as recortes in the land engel sha, cor prowles de loers on sly, ta sunt. Ta mi goi rish de rauw mish egetoyacht, ouresach. The origin of surnames, they say, is fully dealt with in the late Mr J Names' Manx personal names, which devotes a section to nicknames, and to which anyone interested in this fascinating subject is referred. It's not proposed to go into the matter in detail here. Suffice it to say that our surnames have, practically without exception, originated in a manner and form similar to the appellations given in the text. That is, 1. Patronymics, 2. Places of abode, 3. Personal characteristics or peculiarities, 4. Trades or crafts. All 4 varieties, with a 5th miscellaneous group, will be found in the following pages, with patronymics predominating, as they do in our present surnames. Little comment would appear to be necessary in respect to the patronymics and place name groups, except that it will be noted that in the former, the Manx form of various names were preserved, e.g. Stione or Steen, Stephen, Kiaulleeaght, Callett, Woodach or Budach, Boyd, Farrick, Patrick, Dewan, John, etc. SKEEAL playing two tunes, collectively they called Jerrey of Funk. There was Jerrey and Tail, The End of the World, and then Come a Kiaullleaght, Keep the Heart Strong.
The Nation Station, Manx Radio.
Stasiwn yn asiwn dy radio fanning, as she Claare na Gael was guller Kiaulleeaght cartnish, as mish the chebble, Robert Cudin Carswell, Robert a Carslach.
Have you ever had tell about Bobby Bob?
Te Claare na Gael master chieten door en de Claare en radio vanning, rish a glaas en rish chiaghtin lucht je guller Kiaulleeaght en chid geert shaw. Jorish broe kramen agert in de degge radio vanning, as rai enema Claare en shen. Te Claare na Gael jint more podcast, yes, vis vergeten nasty in de degge radio vanning, na trud en rai geere de podcast jou, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Audible, Spotify, Google, TuneIn na Alexa. Now the foreword mentions some of the groups we'll find in the text. While the number of names in one of the groups may appear to be small, closer examination of the patronymic section will reveal that names qualified by the adjectives bairn, white, beg, little, moor, big, could equally well have been included in this section. John Begg can easily be translated as Little John or John Jr., but perhaps the possible derivation of the other names is not so obvious. Johnny Afore may be a phonetic rendering of John Afore, John the Giant, for although John's physical attributes far from justified the use of such an epithet, such nicknames were often ironically applied. Tom Lenvi, denoting the very best of health, is reputed never to have admitted being better than middling, and is thus another example of antiphrasim. Tom Yearnach was definitely an oddity, and as our Irish cousins could scarcely be called popular amongst our ancestors, he was called Tom the Irishman, Tom Yearnach. Mana rawe trud blint en ljouwre, de wel me chreinel me hien de rail me eigne jou kleint, gedot me kruil, der henklie de grey is van nie boeroeg ons me glish. Jich, tammy prowley. Ah, try. De berg visser bij me getuig der sen is, nish de vis de jaro rauw eer vouwer bij weg onvjouwes gemoerleeg wij ernst bereilde immer die gin as we graaigorie. Ach, tiersoel, as seind en gavrig ons liddenach, ne wel aan minenbach de helje gerchten, gouds de keid ons sauelad. Genelle Nosferatu getten bes, gorische schellen, tret a gorga en ongeet. Genelle ach na stroge, as eschen stroge, de tuljepoer egge forst de jinne wolk. En so de volle shaw wist na maastein, Jason heen te Kiaulleaght feed dunje. Ta krautje degge erskin maar weinig, son eis de eishent en krautje degge. Kate DOWMAN sings now another piece collected by Mona in a Chooish, and from a man in Kirkmackle, in fact, the song of themselves as they washed their baby.
Be the house ma village, we mish the lawn, he mish the haven, hailing down the liano, then as the river, and sheja the omramin. Tukla karele chat, vaniliana fod kasaga, reina rolegenka, banis not omen rimasto.
A Rain and Ye, the fairy washing song sung by Kate DOWMAN from her Whispering Tides album. Ta fós egan a sesan cooney, the obvious bash, vis mutter a higgle by na foglan, fashness jint trud na meriw. As the ullion a meriw dowsen for the a chit fair fo smacht ega. She brout as na smoona brout, she'n jowl gin enjachten, as genel creer be ega. Ta ebled ega rare na caglian ega, chit rish morsalius treer be as baller be, as ons cummer be, jousen as ter a yinno ega. Fuddia rare and remus ega, sture a bane na Hampshire, a sterm, a froch, a tarnach, fuddia corsera de ullion a creatur and smee wujle, a roddan as a hullad, as a chratniag, a yamin as an shinach, as a moda alda. Fuddy a gas as chit the vey beg, as fuddy an a kiaughtin gulashilia as chitrish Guinness. Craine achnain es de royal toyach der an sayach ein de stroye. Craine ach nie much fedden a ball tay, as lugt an fedden craine ach fod much stroye. Machurgeon, Shaw, Muran. And Charles Craine and Mark Braide say, with regard to another of Mr Keig's groups, it may be stated that the popularity of the patronymic type of name tended to reduce the number coming into this category. The list, though small, is not without interest, for it includes a nail-maker, who's still well remembered among the older parishioners of Ballaugh. This was written in 1940, remember. The description of Mr Robert Keig, a farmer, and Mr Robert Quayle, a butcher, as a merchant and a hatter, respectively, may at first appear to be strange, but these were actually the trades of their fathers. Robbie and Varchen's father travelled the north, buying up farm produce, which he shipped to Whitehaven in his own schooner. It's difficult to comment upon the names in another group. After a considerable lapse of time, it's impossible to trace the origin of that type of name. All that can be said with certainty is that at the time of its coining, the name would be in some way appropriate, as is the case of Tommy the Lark, who was notorious for the enthusiasm with which he welcomed the morning with song. Now, one of the earliest songs, at least sets of words known to have been collected, were these, the story of Finn the Zarshan, as performed by the Molly Band from their album Afloat.
He Ons liebtime og hin og gevat mos alles van la 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 la. Eis til fin hugger lesh kore tro. Fa la la lo. Aber fake China alten in lo. Fa la la lo. As the hori lesh kavo red ish geves. Fa la la lo.
Finn as Arshan, played by the Molloy Band, the words in fact collected in Ballaugh for Bishop's Court from an old lady who came to Bishop's Court specially. For the benefit of those who've not perhaps come largely in contact with Manx speakers, say Charles Craine and Mark Braide, and in fact that's something you can remedy in this week of the Cooish Manx Language Festival, it may be helpful to note that in compound words the principal accent rests on the qualifying part, that is, as a rule, the second part, the first part then having a secondary accent. And that's from J.J. Inneen's Grammar of the Manx Language, which you can take with a pinch of salt, to be honest, not that particular part, but other parts of it. Anyway, for example, they say, Jem beg Tom Jem, John Billy John. It's hoped, they say, that the foregoing notes may to some extent add to the reader's pleasure in sharing the compiler's interest in all things pertaining to Ellen Vannin. C.C. Craine, M.H. Braide, Douglas, 1st of May 1940. Well, having read that forward, we now come to the preface to the original publication in 1933 by Mr Keig. The following list, he says, is far from complete. Nevertheless, in it will be found 21 families bearing the name of Kiaulleeaght, with not more than 2 or 3 related one to the other. She Jerrey aglach ta sin Gael she era she era aglach ta sin Gael as fuddy de jig airtussen de chorn a 4 gunnele a crow. Ach, son me vis shingen filial de chag a shaw eins on shigeras bein variach eggesen, as esh, Craine hig orin. Ta blioas, mor weg, chenel mi cor Gael day. Ach, filial und shaw chen ne blioas as besh inrigen e. Shaw e, de wel shingen chit de vei gurischen, de wel shingen mache shaw chit de vei ridden agi na hai gurischen. Gammers agi na hai gurischen, gin Craine a kunshens, krache ulju na kerpers na anminen jousen as de grijs muain oru. Nai de brech te chiaghtin jou dunt. Son quain ni fosla ad rish en son. Tashin tanach dan on de bain as ulju cor fierdun. Cron ons edin gillid ye. Side ons en liadi Jason ren gedden bes son dunje. Ach, sein dun shadow nai mor currum, as ons liedesteid veli cui dun che. Ma hons tam ish Craine wel, ach esh tam ish shan. As de blioes, les salje na Craine on, de boelele negge, karen na Kiaulleeaght, a kiaull as a graai, na lai for the chowchulu jim. Well, we heard Brian Mac STOYLL again, this time playing his box, with Shores of Creary on the harmonica, and they were playing Shan Ernyach Chira.
Manx Radio.
Sienne, de Jarrow Station and Ashun, the radio van in Cartnish, she Claare na Gael with Sir Claasen, she Robert Cutting Cartwell, Miss Robert a Carslach.
Have you ever had tell about Bobby Bob?
Seg ta Chooish na Firelia. Ta kiust you nagen siechen. Ach, ta leen ellen for sa maren. Cray ta shu de grey. Couds vi Lord, for Jonathan en oil malau. For Alem, o huish morwee, drou duches aglach gauw ein getten meinstrach tre honnik me a lau shina mach. Ach, she blio a sien dou gennacht en ach vi benten dou, go leidje, go barentoil ons en heen, go kierit. For die lau dun je dunnel Lord, as je heen, genelli eer fame graim brei de glaasje de kiaullleaght. Tred en hallo jint lesh Lord, jiche dun je sheshe stiach ons mechulien as Mishan dou eggesen. Grauw fame Lord ederein. Ta mish vierige on Mina as me hans heen doorte. Cor she's me en malu, as manche Quincy Morris en ach cajin jagetjegge. Tammy Mertz doet en charn godalming, son grai Lucy, man a vel son orer bielia. Geren en fairly seward, ach snoggle. Now, having mentioned 21 largely unrelated Corlett families in Ballaugh, Mr Keig observes, in these circumstances nicknames were more or less inevitable, especially so in view of the Christian names of Thomas, John and William being so often duplicated. Of the families mentioned above, only 6 are now represented in the parish, and there are but 2 with sons to carry on the name. In this connection it may be stated that while Corlett abounded in Ballaugh, Michael had Cannell, Andrus Radcliffe, Braide Christian, Jerrey, Tyr and Clark, Machald, Cooish, Kermeen and Callow, Lizare, Killip and Craine. And I doubt not but that at one time each parish in the island had a majority surname with nicknames for identification. Nicknames in Ballaugh have now entirely disappeared, and, alas, so also have the crofters, fishermen, tailors, cobblers, coopers, dykers, turf cutters, nailers, and weavers. Kiaulleeaght and Clegg sings about Isabel Folsom now with the band Clash for, but no tigers hiding in this one.
Chooish in this foglen, as is gamage Cooish. Victas in the hall, great protection douche. Tamod na lection, cheet fire magid a tie. Vex you an aglach na slide on a line. Piamuli as Claare, Maha here ganal. Isu ita Claare cool
Clash Voer and the song Isabel Falsa. The sickle, the scythe, the flail and the dollen, says Mr Keig, had to give place to the reaper and the threshing machine. The nicky and nobby were superseded by the steam drifter, and the small crafts couldn't exist in competition with the great English factories. That the population of Ballaugh has decreased, in common with that of other country districts, will be seen from the following figures taken from the census returns. AD 1841, 1,516. AD 1871, 1,314. AD 1921, 628. AD 1931, 562. So that's quite a decline in the population of the parish of Ballaugh from 1841 to 1931, down to a third of what it had been in 1841. And in fact that concludes the preface, and it's signed J B Keig, The Mount, Ramsey, January 1933. And in the text he then goes on to give us a list of some nicknames as used in Ballaugh from about 1860 to 1900. Well, apart from the nicknames themselves, it also gives an interesting overview of the population of Ballaugh at the time, their names, of course, and their occupations and whereabouts they were living. So it's quite an interesting document, although it's really quite short. Hias an olusus, as lug de cor a crucifix egg and the lie a boord, hine mach a lau dag chow. Gauw mish a lau yesh, as gauw an charn godalming a lau hier. Ren Jonathan Graham a lau yesh lesh a lau hier egge, as ren a shina harish gesmansje Morris. Masaw, gauwds ren shinulju golden lauen van conent armach eingent. Geni mi drau mach riech of voerers jo. A gedenket ouwe chorer wie de jaren mag aas. Gausjen en Inneen riech, as high en fairly van Helsing les soos de ginnelis, verselje gemaakt der tuig der jit der nove troom goesach. Ve orren gin getroom, as nachheden as coline dellel as ginnewer bij elje away. Wel, de visio not te orren struurish. Ach, shingen jes, genelsjen gin jaard. En sont an poor J. chit koejach, poor ovich duisend an in soeder en volle, ta kauren de chean zijn. Tashin ser de yinno was de smunjen, as de oeren en lei as na hee ein de korm. And now here's the band SKEEAL again with the song Man in Vegveen.
Van en Vintons minne non cheet je sieren treden on cursus na preden side go de characten medan son failjon be much go on the you can some weapons together is a camera journey ja golos na shawl von herren here a gavina show you the min and tied a hit van I Jacks of a chana ye can the man is the pagan and madiden tie the highest, she can son your cry her row together. Destruction, Charlation, and John, the stations on the Gael. than the glen, Yorkshire and Shin, a Garvig as a book vara. Chiaghtin a be an eagestia, Fegman and Manic and Chicken. Pigmas just round the stool as the longest begin sign on Stike again. On Stike again, but a job that you're less pal, children as Liga, as the Abbey by the goal alive, Travis Middle and Shiver. We pitch it, I figure Snayak might and Sny, I need to go cover. Up the men hosted and gorge him, a gin great a good time post of Volog. Tons Mina kiaull on cheet, Kiaulleeaght Jerrey, Trittin on Corritus the Braide cycle round the Harknan Medan. Some pale on image go on the Yicken sun weapons given. He's a Kimralis Kiaulleeaght Goldust and Shawl from Karen. Ovan and Levine tons Mina kiaull on cheet, Kiaulleeaght Jerrey, Trittin on Corritus the Braide cycle round the Harknan Medan.
The band SKEEAL with Phil Gaughan taking the lead on the traditional song Man in Vegbeen. De fear, gouds de na púrach an ein rásin chenal strian orú, as ta sin sir de yinno image jou. Ta sin courage de moor jay jouwen gus Cooish as gus Jerrey de Cholina na wel sondach. Moorend an a rithin shaw. Well, we perhaps start looking at those people of Ballaugh and the nicknames that were for them, as recorded by J B Keig and Claare and Gael in the future. Well, Kiaulleeaght Shenol here Shaw. Chris Pearson brings you 2 hours of your Sunday chill out from 7 till 9, and at 9 it'll be Judith Lay here to present Sundown. We close Claare and Gael with music by Tim Price, his dramatic evocation of Noscorton, the chasms. Don't forget that nominations are open throughout November for the Rai Blina Bananan Award. You can find out more at Culture Vannin's website. Your chance to nominate a group or an individual to be Rai Blina Bananan, an award made at the start of next year. Ach Shananish, as Masaw, till the next time then, this is Robert Cutting Carswell, Robert a Carslach.
Oh, Bobby Bob.
Wishing you a very good night, Eve I'm a Chrieri you as Orselier, as me Yeri and shared you.